I didn't see the RNC, but I got a little. Yeah. Well, they're sending the subliminal messages slowly but surely. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It's kind of funny. If you really knew what that song was about, you would you'd understand the signal sent there. All right, we got to wrap this up and let's get to the show. All right. Howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. So, not much going on the satellite already. It's a very quiet day, so we're just going to go right to the solar ham here. Hang on, let me close this light a little bit. Sorry about that. My voice carry across the whole valley here. All right. So let's get to business here. There wasn't much activity on the satellite today, as you can see right here, pretty flat line. There, this one little bump I could show you, but it doesn't even show much on the satellite. So we're just gonna go over to here real quick. First off, let's start off with our solar flux index is already at 209, so it's down 15. It's slowly coming down, which is good. Sunspot number though is at 276. I've never seen that many. It's up one. So we're what 24 away from 300. Crazy. 276 sunspots. And then we have our area, and it's in the yellow right there right now. Let me pull up this real quick and just show you this region right here. 3751. Can we have the zoom, please? And right here. Very complex sunspot region starting to form right here. Okay, it's got some close polarity points right here as well. So we got another shot where, well, actually, I can go zoom in really close here. Okay, so that's a little bit better. Now you can see the complexity and the intensity of them. Both 51 and 59 here. This one has all kinds of little different plus minuses that could, here to here, there to there. There's several different configurations to where that thing could hook up and an arc, okay, and cause a CME or cause a flare. All right, so we have very close proximity to our poles here, to our polarities. Okay. Let me back out here. Whoops, 110. It's just not right. We just did not open the show correctly, so let's go ahead and pull up the seeds here, seed satellite. Hang on just a sec. Oh, interference. All right, and while that's pulling up here, I take a moment to thank you guys for taking a moment of your precious time to be here with this precious family. And when you understand what this precious family is really about, you understand how precious you really are, what your true identity is. So here we are, July 18th, 2024. And like I said, there's not much activity going on the sun. Pretty quiet. But what we can do, since we pulled this up, it was basically just to say hi and welcome everybody. We do have a little bit going into tomorrow already, just this little event right here, so not much. Okay, so back to our regular report. Thank you for enduring and welcome to the show. All right, let's get her going. Whoops. All right, now as you can see, we did have a little M flare right here. Kind of a little bumpy day right here as far as our solar flux, but all in all, it was a quiet day on the sun. We did have one little M flare, and then I showed you a little peek at that already. So there's that. Okay, now coming back over here to the 3-day geomagnetic forecast, we got a G1 storm that they're calling for on the 21st. Remember, we saw it on the tracker last night. So G1 storm coming for the 21st is when they're predicting. 20th, 21st time frame, right around there. Okay. X flare potential to 15, M flare 60. We had 3 M flares, the 2.2 right here today. So that's just a little small 2.2. Meanwhile, our KP is really low. Our solar auroras are quiet. Okay. Right now, we do have this 3751 is gone beta gamma delta. Okay. It's got the delta configuration with the close, tight, uh, tight quarters sunspots there. So, ready for an X flare right there. And that's Earth facing here. So I would take this X flare potential and bump it up a little bit higher, I think, because, well, this thing is getting very complex, and look where it's rotating. It's on the southern hemisphere of the sun where we're located, and it's starting to creep more center disk. Okay. So there's layout. Now going into this article real quick from the 17th, filament located near the southwest limb. Okay, we covered that one yesterday. No real new update on that. What I do want to open is the tracker. Okay, they're showing this event going off to the side here, missing Earth. Okay, whatever object said, moving this way could possibly trigger that, or it could be moving that way. So it's really hard to tell trajectories anymore. It looks like stereo A is actually getting a little further away from Earth. The further away it gets, the more of an angle that we have, then I can throw it into a math solution and give you a rough estimate of where the object, what trajectory it's on, if there is one that induced that one. I'm not even sure which CME they're tracking right there. This is the one I'm more concerned about real quick. Pop it up. Guys doing okay out there? The RNC get y'all riled up. I caught a little bit of it in the background while I'm at war, and I could hear Trump speaking. I just wanted to hear his opening sentence, really. All right, there we go. Okay, so right about here, 21st, right at the cusp of the 20th, 21st time frame, right there, boom, is when we're expecting this CME to hit, okay? And we're going to take it right on the chin, too. And it's not going south or north. Watch here, this is above and below the planet, okay? Bingo, boom. All right, so I got some new lyrics for Back in Black. Same music. Whoops, same music, just a few different lyrics to it. I want to go back here real quick. Okay, don't forget we had that X1.9 that came off here on the 16th. That's what's doing the, it gave us a little bit of absorption, okay? And we've seen some absorption and some activity from it, okay? So let's get over here to spaceweather.com. All right, so here they're talking about this complex sunspot again. Now, first, real quick, the geomagnetic storm watches 2 and possibly 3 faint CMEs are heading for Earth following a series of eruptions from sunspot 3743, 53, and 44 back on July 16th through the 17th. Their collective impact, okay, not cannibal CME, but collective impact on July 20th or 21st timeframe could cause the minor G1, okay? Don't be surprised if it's a little stronger than a G1. I pray that it's just a G1, but here at this channel, we're not surprised when that happens because, I've explained why several times now. So I pray it's a G1. I don't want any more energy hitting us than a G1. But don't be surprised if it could be stronger. Now, potentially dangerous sunspot. It hasn't exploded yet, but growing sunspot 3751 has a mixed polarity magnetic field that harbors energy for X class solar flares. That's why I said the 15 should be bumped up. Note, the plus minus plus sandwich at the heart of the sunspot is this magnetic map from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory. Now I'm going to go ahead and just zoom in on this now, okay? Because this is what I wanted was your little pluses and minuses on there. Okay. This is still growing, okay? It's got its delta configuration. You can see how tight this little middle part is with a plus, minus, plus. That's the sandwich that they're talking about. This can still touch over here. That can touch here. That can touch here. This could hit here. That could go there. We've seen different crisscross configurations. There are several possibilities here where it could hook up, okay? But really, right here in the middle, you got this intense red core with blue on each side. Look out. Look out. I mean, it's not a good setup. Okay, we all can pray. Do some praying right about now. Okay, so now it's a bit like an Oreo cookie. If an Oreo cookie could explode like 1 billion atomic bombs. When opposite magnetic polarities are pressed together in close proximity, the squeeze can lead to a magnetic reconnection, the power source of solar flares. Okay, it's like an electric arc. All right, 3751's stack of pulses of pluses and minuses is directly facing Earth, and it has so any flares today will be geo-effective, okay? So it's facing Earth. Any kind of flare out of it would be geo-effective, okay? Just the flare. Then any kind of CME hurled at us would hit 2 to 3 days. If it was an X flare, they travel a little faster sometimes. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on. Now, over here at the Schumann, please. Oh, please let it go. This is very important information. Come on, baby, you can do it. There we go. All right. I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute, okay? Last night we reported on this and we came out of it. We're going along pretty smooth. We had the little burp and then we came out of that going smooth. Right after we ended the show, and then just lately, we've had this too. So we've had pressure build up way down deep at the core. The core is grinding in the shell. The shell is reverberating, humming. It's vibrating. Its frequencies go up through the magma, up through the crust, and emanate from the surface of the crust. And they go out into space, but they hit the ionosphere and bounce back down. And that's what this instrument does, is it detects the echoes bouncing back down from the ionosphere. Our 7.83, this green line, is what we're supposed to see. We have been on a roller coaster ride for quite a bit now. Okay? So if you've been feeling mood swings or tired, or some people feel energetic, this is why. Okay, this is an indication that pressure down below is built up, and that we've seen. After this, we saw this last night, starting right here is where we left off. Then we had a little release. Pressure built up really big time. We were grinding. I heard a report that there were skyquakes somewhere, so I'll have to go find that again. This is the reason for your skyquakes, okay? Your trumpet blast sounds is the shell echoing and vibrating, and it's metal, and that's why it sounds like metal grinding in the sky. It's because the core and the shell are grinding, and it also makes the ground rumble too. So it makes the ground move, and you hear the sound from the sky. That's why your skyquakes mystery is solved. Okay, so we had a big grinding event, very intense. Okay, tapered off. We had a little boom right there, and then another one, and then build up of pressure again. Whoops, let me get my hand out of there. Okay, now that's going to correlate with some activity that we're seeing in our earthquakes. First, let's do this one though. Let's get through this. Okay, let me get 850. We're just going to go to our sandstorm. Okay. All right, a lot of the U.S. is seeing like hazy skies, weird sunsets because of this huge sandstorm that's being pushed over from Africa across the Atlantic and it's getting dragged up into America. All right, so right now it's totally covering most of the Atlantic. You can see the wind currents going like this, kind of drawing it up. A little bit is pulling away here and going into the Gulf region that goes up into America. Whoops. Right there. I'll just leave right there for a second. Okay, now you can see why your skies are a little hazy. Okay, almost seems like there's forest fires or something, but there's not. It's weird looking clouds because it's a sandstorm. Well, not sandstorm, but sandy, hazy skies. Okay. Now, all because of this big old sandstorm coming off Africa. Meanwhile, Oman, Yemen having issues. India's covered with sand. We got big old sandstorm up in the Gobi Desert. Okay. Look at that thing, dude. Whew. Crazy, crazy. Okay, let's get on over to our SO2. Take off the wind. Okay, here we are. Country divided, bleeding out on one side, SO2 emissions all over the place. You can see flooding down in that region, but other side, hit and miss. Okay. And meanwhile, we have really intense plumes coming out of Canada up here. Okay. And these ones are so intense that they're sparking fires. See what I mean? Okay. And SO2 doesn't come out of the burning trees. Okay. This SO2 emissions isn't because of the burning fires. The fires are because of the SO2 emissions. They come out of the ground so hot, thousands of degrees hot, where it just, any kind of thing around just spontaneously combusts. Okay. And now it's really starting to bleed down into the lower 48 here. Okay. We had an event here in Oregon, Eastern Oregon. So probably this plume, maybe that one. And several fires in the area already. So this SO2 emission sparking fire effect has already reached down to Southern California. See what I'm saying? Okay. Going to be a problem when the more pressure comes in, the more fires we're going to see ignited because of, SO2 emissions. Okay, let's go on down through here because we had, let me take the fires off now. We had a big quake in this region. Okay. And let's see if we note any detection. All right, so this spot, very, very intense, very defined, very dark. Okay. What the heck is that noise? Oh man. All right, there we go. So Fulcrum Point, very, very active because a lot of pressure in the region. We had a quake right down here, and a lot of this area is not as dark anymore. Okay, but this whole region's still very dark, so a lot of pressure under this region pushing out a lot of gas. Okay, and if we go back up, All right, that's all good. Let's come on over to stop off in Hawaii real quick. Yep, they're doing their thing. A lot of SO2 emissions coming out of there. That's the hub of the wheel. So if the Pacific Rim is like a bicycle rim, Hawaii would be the hub of the rim. Oh, white line or wavy lines? One or two. All right, so there we go. There's your emissions at. Now let's come on over to China, adjust for their daytime. All right, so you can see that they've had, well, it's a little lightening up actually down in this region, down in there. And then up here we had a big dark area that had grown before, and it's depleted now. So we had a release of energy that's kind of, well, lowered some of the SO2 emissions. Okay, here we are at Taiwan, our fulcrum point right here. This is like a relief valve. Does a lot of the, relieving of energy. We saw a quake there yesterday, but it wasn't much. Mid-range 4, we need to see, more activity, bigger size quakes kind of in this region to relieve the pressure, okay? Also, we forgot to do Java last night. Okay, so very intense at this part of the island. Okay, volcanoes going off right there. Still a lot of emissions throughout the island. Sumatra has filled in. Malaysia has a very dark spot. It's almost filling in now. There's just this one last ring to go. Okay, India's got its issues. Saudi Arabia, all of Europe. Okay, so there's your SO2. Let's get on over to our ocean sea surface temperature anomalies and check in on them today. So here's our big like triangle shaped type blob area. We have a little spot that's growing here off the coast of Africa. Watch out, Canary Islands for a volcano. Remember they erupted, 2 years ago or something like that? And was everybody just all watching Canary Islands? Possibility again. Okay. So here we are, this plume out in the Pacific, still kind of reaching up now, almost making contact up here. We've got this cold water barrier right here, but it's holding out. But you see right here, this disruption right there. There's a heat plume coming in, and then look at this. From the Bay Area on out, this whole little snake column right here. Let me pull back. We're too close in for you guys. Right there. This whole little column right here has filled in. Okay. We still have a little bit of cold water coming out down there, but our little cold water plume that was coming out here is gone now. Okay. It's not as hot as the rest of the area, but it looks to be that cold water thing is kind of over. Meanwhile, let's just real quick kind of take a peek around, and then we'll put the winds on. So this region right here off of South America is kind of growing in intensity. See this whole area right here starting to have get its act together here. Same with this patch off the bottom of Africa here. We have this series of cold hots. All right, let me go ahead and put the winds on now, and we'll see the correlation between our wind patterns. All right, let that sit there for a second. Look how this new little hotspot has dammed this up, has changed this. This is shifted. It's pinched up from the back here because of this. We have a new vent that opened up here and changed the shape of our conveyor belt again. Telling you, each time something happens, it changes the structure, the shape of that conveyor belt, tightening it up more and more and more. Pretty soon, it, we're just going to have one big storm right there. It could possibly be, and it would just start pulling stuff right off of Africa. All right, we still have the sand that's disrupting convection, thankfully. Okay, that's what's curbing any kind of hurricane genesis. But all in all, there's your wind patterns for the Atlantic for right now. Okay, let's come on over to the Pacific now. I'm gonna let that kind of roll. And we got these crazy spinny eyes with a nose, mouth, in the wind structure. So vortex here, a vortex here, opposite spinning one right there, and then this weird wavy smile down below. There we go. There was one over the Atlantic too. Here, let me just set it right there. Oh, it's right here. There we go. All right, so there's your wind patterns. Also, I want to take a peek what was going on down here. We still have this southern fetch where it's coming from the southern hemisphere, crossing the equator, coming up, and that was coming up and hitting this conveyor belt and disrupting it. But now it's no longer doing it. Now it's circling back and going into Africa. See that? So part of it comes up into South America here, but most of the energy peels back and goes back into Africa there. So it's no longer busting up the conveyor belt right here. Okay, a little change in structure there. Meanwhile, we'll come over here to the Indian Ocean. You can see this pattern has gone. It's been following this pattern for quite a while now, a couple months. So India's getting all kinds of sand from the sandstorms going right into them. They're also getting all kinds of weather coming off the equator right into them. Meanwhile, let's come down and hit up the currents. So I want to talk about hot and cold. Okay, I'm going to set it right there and let the currents go. You can see how it comes off of the hot, goes into a cold, into a hot, into a cold, into a hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Either cold or you're hot. Here, my hand was in the way. So hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. See? You're hot or you're cold, or I'll spit you out. Okay, so there are your crazy currents because of the temperature differentiations. And now back to the wind. And we'll come over here and we'll leave it right there. Okay. Now let's get on over to our earthquake report. Because I showed you on the Schumann, we had to build up a pressure, right? And then we had a pretty good sudden release of pressure, too. Well, look at this. We've had a 7.4 here at our fulcrum point in South America. Okay, so we'll get to that in just a second. Let me just hop in regular earthquake report real quick. Okay, no deep quakes or residual surface, in this region. We have activity over here on the island, though. 4.5 at 35. Recent quake is a 4.4. Meanwhile, off the coast of Sumatra, plate boundary, a 5.3. There's a little increase in magnitude. Okay, we come into our bay here. 4.9. What do we do with those here? Down at 17. More energy being released at the surface. 4.736, probably a little island over there. 4.0 down at 497, definitely volcanic island or activity right at the base of this little underwater mountain. There's foothills underwater right there, and right where it turns from, a mountain range to a plateau, right in that weak zone right there. And that's down at 497. Usually in this region, deeper quake doesn't put stronger energy at the surface, but we do have a 5.6. It's not the surface; it's at 105. All right, here's a 4.4 down at 78. Ooh, up here we haven't seen one in this region in a minute. Mid-range 4 here at 322. Now. Boom, 3.6 at 80, and get ready for a 6.0 off of Alaska here, you guys, with a little tsunami alert. Let's just see what what their magnitude was, just real quick, since it's there. 5.9. You know what we do with 5.9s here? You know why? That's why, because we get different readings from different agencies, usually cutting it back so they don't have to report a magnitude, well, a higher magnitude, period. 4.2, we all learned that from Dutcheroo. Okay. 6.0, we'll come back to this. 7.4. Whoops. Let me get to the 7.4 real quick. There it goes. Whoops. 7.4. So I showed you on the Schumann here, we had this increase in pressure, right? And then we had a release. Boom. We had a buildup of pressure, release. Buildup of pressure, release. Now we're having another buildup of pressure. Okay, so we'll probably have another quake here, mid-range 5 or above or something to relieve this. We're grinding right now as we speak. Okay, so back to our earthquakes, you can see we had a buildup of pressure and a jump in magnitude. We haven't seen a magnitude 7, 4. That's almost a 7.5 right there, probably. Let's even check this. Because, see, 5.9. Really? No, it says 5.9. From a 7.4. Okay. That's why we check this stuff. All right, so jump in magnitude because of pressure down below. We took on some energy, and somehow, we didn't see a big spike on, geomagnetically. So we still have pressure down below that has, well, you know what? We did take on that X flare, right? We had the flare. There was no CME, but remember I showed you on the Cape or the D region a couple nights back? So that was probably our energy. Takes a while for it to reach the surface. It has to get down there, make the core expand, make the shell expand back down onto it, and then that grinding process. Then the heating of the magma, and it wants to expand. And you see all these cracks right here. These are cracks in the eggshell, right? The Earth's crust is like an eggshell. And if you overcook the egg from inside, it'll burst from the inside out. Imagine all these cracks bursting from the inside out, pressure from down below pushing up these plates. Well, the weak areas are the plate boundaries and fulcrum points, right? So when we see heat and pressure build up down there, we see bigger magnitude earthquakes. And I'm surprised it was here because we've seen a lot of SO2 emissions out of this region. Plus, we have our main fulcrum point SO2 emission point. And just south of it was this. The other big quake was right up here in this region. Okay, so just either side of the fulcrum point, we're seeing some, this is where the heavier duty magnitude quakes are being distributed. 4.4 up there. Let's check a magnitude here. We're at 3. What's that one as well? 3.1. Okay, so average, typical activity there. All right, all magnitudes, America. So as we get in here, there's our sixer right there. Okay, at 41. Let me take a peek at what exactly do we have here. Now, I don't see, so we have volcanic islands up here on this plateau up there, but this is the cliff wall right here. It starts to drop away and starts to go down to the very bottom of the ocean. It's like a canyon down here almost, okay? So where this crack is. So you're looking at the edge of a table, and then this, not edge of a table, but like the edge of a, a curb or something like that, and then the side of the curb drops all the way down to the gutter down there, okay? And up here, 60, 40 miles, well, 40 kilometers down in, like, if you could take this pointer and push it through the page, okay? So it's down in there, underneath all this activity right here, too. So I'll have to watch this region. This is something, path of least resistance, possible weak spot. Okay. Also, we need to talk about the one down at South America, path of least resistance, possible weak spot, because of all of the aftershocks that are coming with it. Not all of them, but it's not a. There's a 5 that went with it, 4-4, and a 4-7. Okay. And it's rough, rugged terrain out there. It's not like there's a bunch of city around or anything, but still, the jump in magnitude, jump in magnitude. Okay, let's get on into the coast here. We're still seeing activity up here in the Puget Sound, all right? Couple here, little small ones at Rainier today. Can you see that? These two little yellow ones. All right. Mount Rainier, a couple, they're really small. But that's a sign of pressure down below. Earthquake activity at volcanoes is an indication of pressure down below making it to the surface. 0.0, but still something activity there, something registered there. Okay. Now, nothing on the Wanda Fuke. I showed you the big old heat signature that's just right outside of it and the cold water barrier right here, okay? We need to have more quake emissions from this region. I'd love to see a bunch of mid-range 5s pop off in this area to relieve pressure or to keep pressure at bay. You know what I'm saying? Keep it constantly relieved. Every time it builds, relieve. 2.5 here at Shasta. Okay, now let's kind of get on in. Fulcrum point pushes in like this. Energy doesn't want to change direction, wants to go in a straight line. It pushes inland. We're seeing inland quakes along this area. Just south of that is 1.3 there. Some micro quakes here. Okay, good. And then here we are at the geysers. A bunch of little microquakes quaking out. This is our relief valve for California, for Northern California. It relieves a lot of the energy that's coming into the Bay Area. A lot gets vented right there, and then it lowers a magnitude before it can come into the bay. 1.8 there. We got a little scurry right there. 3.4 now in Morgan Hill. Okay, so we had a mid-range 3 in California again today. These are on the other plate. Okay. Remember, that's a plate boundary right there going through California. Hey, what's that big scar on the land? I got an idea. Let's build a big city next to it. 3.4 here again down in Baja, California. It's that mid-range 3 energy right there and right there. What's that? Mid-range 2. Okay. Meanwhile, our typical activity over here in Texas, even up into Oklahoma, man-made perforations in the crust, nothing through New Madrid nor up through there today. All right, there's a quake report. Again, they're not showing any activity along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge or Iceland, but I know there's activity going on along there. They're probably not going to report on it. All right, other than that, we got all that taken care of. Let me knock out a few of these instruments, and we'll open up volcano report. Okay, so stay on the lookout. A little jump in magnitude. Okay, and it was because of pressure building up down below. And I just showed you on the Schumann, we're currently having a grinding session. Okay, good. One more window to go. There we go. Now, when I open the volcano page, it should go a tad bit smoother. You guys are doing a lot better at your spiritual warfare. Let's just say a lot of you weren't as rattled today as as the day before. Where some people are even more rattled. What happened? Give me that, please. Not the ad. You sneaky. No, I still want the link. Look at that. Finally. So 32 in warning, 29 in unrest. That's still 61 active volcanoes. If I told you 10 years ago we'd have 61 active volcanoes, you should have said, you're crazy, Brian. And here we are, 61 active volcanoes. And you still say, you're crazy, Brian. Which was fine. Here we are. Ebico, however we want to pronounce it, 10,000. 8,000 last reported. Luatobi, 10,000. Semaru, near frequent glowing rock falling continues to tumble down from the lava dome. Probably 15,000 foot blasts out of that every once in a while. Santiago, 14. Fuego, here's a 15 out of Fuego in Guatemala. And then Sangay with a 23. Let's get into today, which is now yesterday. Amazing how time flies at this show, huh? Okay, Etna again. Following the recent paroxysm, the event from Etna's Vorangi summit crater on the evening of the 15th, lava flows remain active on the western slope. The lava has branched off into the four main arms that we talked about last night, of which the northern one is still currently about 857 meters long. Ebico, 15,000 feet. Mayon in the Philippines, 9,000 feet. Boom, boom, boom. It's all the cats and butterflies and dragonflies. You guys been spying on me? 8,000 there. Luatobi, 10,000. Semaru, 14. Okay, that's a little reduction. It's 15 usually. So Santa Guido 14, Fuego 15, Sangay 20, Reventador 20, Sabancaya 26. There's a good blast. So we've seen, a little bit higher elevation in our blasts as far as volcanic blasts. And we saw some jump in magnitude in our earthquakes. Okay, so the pressure down below is being vented. The Earth's little system of venting the pressure is working pretty well. Every once in a while, when we have a stop up, we'll have a new thing open up. And when it does, sometimes it's out in the ocean and it creates a new current, a new wind current. And we have, our weather being controlled by the wind, by the thermal anomalies in the ocean is controlling the wind, it's steering our weather. Whew. Okay, well, that's loading up. Take a moment to, again, thank you for hanging out this deep into the show. Most people lose focus. In today's society, most people's attention span is 2 minutes. Anything longer than 2 minutes, they get irritated and they tune out. That's why everything on YouTube is a 2-minute video, because everybody's so addicted to the TikTok, just these quickies. We're a quickie society. All right, opening frame. Here we are, the nighttime. Let me slide just a tad for you guys. All right, you can see the time and date. Good. And I can still get the button. All right. Current conditions, nighttime of the 8th, right, or 18th, sorry. Still little pockets. You can barely make them out, little yellow individual isolated supercells. The morning of the 19th, noon, convection, nighttime. Severe weather possible through that region, North Dakota, or South Dakota, Nebraska, and even Kansas tomorrow night. Okay, morning of the 20th, noon, convection, nighttime. Okay, now as we go into the 21st, we're expecting a G1. All right, everybody is all agreeing that we're going to see that collective CME hit. All right, so on the 21st here, during this whole day, you have the chance of enhancement of any of these frames. We're starting off with a small little bubble of severe weather here in Iowa. By the noontime, you see severity has gone away. That could possibly be different. All right. Meanwhile, we have severe weather approaching the coast down here at noontime. Here we are at convection. I'm going to pop this up one more zoomage that I can. It'll allow me. Okay, I want you guys to just kind of take a minute to look at that. Now, any of these little yellow supercells that you see scattered all through this mountainous region, across little Texas here, back down into Mexico. There's even ones that go up through here, back in there. All right. Those little supercells, they don't look like much right here, but you add enhancement from a geomagnetic storm, each one of those could blossom very hard. So what looks like a light spattering, well, I don't know. A lot of you probably aren't into shooting, but if you took some bird shot, that's what bird shot would be, is a bunch of small holes. Then you take some buckshot, which leaves a bunch of bigger holes, right? So like a spattering of shotgun spray, these little holes can become bigger ones. All right. So each individual blossom could intensify. All right. Now that depends on how strong our geomagnetic storm is. If it's G1, if it hits while we're, on this side, but it still has the capacity to enhance weather, and not just here in America, around the world. Okay. Especially on that date. That's the day of impact. Okay. All kinds of other factors, especially the spiritual realm, the spheroid type event that's induced by the spiritual realm, and I think maybe pretty soon we're going to have to start putting a definition on the term spiritual realm, so everybody knows exactly what it is and what we're talking about. Okay, how it works. But right here, back to this convection, then nighttime. Okay, we still have that smattering. It's very widespread again, but each one of those could be very intense. Each one of those could possibly convect a lot harder and become, large hail, flash flooding, possible tornadoes. All depends on our geomagnetic event and what time it hits. If it hits right when convection hits, sometimes I've seen that happen and it just really knocks it out of the park. All right, so back to the nighttime of the 21st, just to rehash. This is the day of impact from our geomagnetic storm and possible weather enhancement. Morning of the 21st, noon, convection, nighttime. Look at that. Did you see how that started to swirl up right there? Watch out right there. As we go into the morning of the 22nd, noon, convection, see us splattering a convection all through up here. Really not doing it justice. We need to zoom in. There's the nighttime down in Texas. Morning of the 23rd, noon, convection, nighttime. Okay, anything after this is pretty unreliable because we don't know what's going to come off the sun and possibly affect weather. So, morning of the 24th, noon, convection, nighttime. 25, noon, convection, nighttime. 26, noon, convection, nighttime. 27, noon, convection, nighttime. 28, noon, convection, 29, convection, nighttime. 30th, noon, convection, nighttime. 31st, noon, convection, nighttime. There's the nighttime of the 31st right there. Morning of the 1st. Look at that low coming in there. Something like that. See, now we're seeing convection further north. This isn't up in Canada per se, but it's further north than our typical activity. But that's way out in August, and that'll change. But activity like this is an example of what I'm talking about. See how cold there. It started up here, right here at the border, and then it blossoms downward. Boom, boom. See that? Instead of moving northward, this comes in from the north and attacks in from the south. So we could see weather like that, a new kind of, well, not a new kind of, but a different style of weather moving. Well, we're used to weather traveling this direction, right? From south to northeast. Now it's going from north to southeast. So making an X out of our old weather type structure, and then to see what happens when it smashes into all this down here. But that's way out at August 3rd. That's totally going to change, and but that's an example of a type of weather pattern that we could entertain here pretty soon. And we'll have to keep monitoring this because this could possibly happen still. I mean, that's what the computer's saying, but we have all kinds of other factors in between here and there. All right, so there's all your astrophysics, geophysics, your weather, and now it's time for the good stuff, the spiritual report. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the spiritual realm. When you endure something, and let's say it's something that's very painful, physically painful, emotionally, spiritually, it hurts your ego or your pride or whatever. So there's all kinds of different ways we endure pain. We endure it physically, emotionally, and spiritually, right? Now, when you can overcome those spiritual detriments, then you've accomplished a spiritual achievement. It doesn't mean a ghost, like a spirit in the the afterlife, in the other realm. Okay, spiritual means how are you feeling inside? Do you have love? Do you have courage? Do you have empathy? Are you forgiving? Where's your heart? Where's your mind at? Right? That's the spiritual realm. When you're out in the field all day and the sun's been beating on your neck, you've been sweating all day, and you've cleaned up the yard, you're cutting wood, you did all kinds of different stuff. And at the end of the day, when the sun goes down and it's dinner time, you look back and you see all that wood that got cut, all those flowers that got planted, you took out the trash, you accomplished things, right? That help other people as well. So it's your spiritual accomplishments through the course of a day. Each day is a gift, okay? And a lot of people waste their gift when they get snagged by a misfortune or a mistake, or they get irritated or lose their patience and they get snagged, and it starts to ruin your day, right? Well, each day counts. So if you let a snag ruin your day, you lost that day. It's important that we salvage a day. When something happens that's outside your comfort zone and has rattled you and has changed the course of your day, you need to stop, take a break, pray, Jesus, help me. Uh, take some deep breaths, regain composure, see my face through the situation, and then ask the Holy Spirit what to do, and then it will tell you when to do it. So it's a little procedure. If you practice it, you will start to get your spiritual achievements, and you'll understand, oh, I'm doing spiritual work. I feel good when I help that person that was paralyzed load up the groceries in their car. Uh, you know, uh, uh, Acts of kindness. All right, helping others can make you feel good, right? So sometimes when I'm having a rough day, I know what works. I better go out and start helping somebody. If I'm feeling bummed and I'm having a rough day, what makes me feel better? Helping someone else out. Oh, so that's what I go do. And then sure enough, it works. And then you recover your day, you salvage a lost day. And it's not a lost day. Then you go about your day and you're like, wow, hey, that would have taken me out and I would have wasted time and energy and gotten all mad. Eventually invented it the wrong person, right? That's what we're trying to avoid. So let me get a couple other images up here, okay? And I had to do a lot of this work, and didn't know why at the time, but I found it interesting and fascinating because I got to learn a lot about myself, stuff that I didn't know about myself, right? And you really don't know yourself until you're tested, until you're put into an uncomfortable situation and you're tested. You get thrown in jail for doing nothing wrong and see how well do you take it, you know? Get thrown in the insane asylum because nobody will listen to you. They all assume you're seeing angels. I said, no, I captured angels. Oh, you're seeing them all. No, the word capture and the word seeing are two different concepts. What part of it don't you? Oh, you gotta lock you up, dude. So, can you imagine frustrations? So, I've learned a lot of different techniques to try to keep my cool, and each day is a new test. Tell you what, man. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna leave that image right there. It's one to read to. Okay. Everything's coming from Jesus' heart. All these spiritual events in the sky, all the weather events, okay, the clouds. He's in control of the clouds, right? You see, his heart is controlling these images in the clouds. That's where all this stuff comes from, is from his heart. Okay, well, if if you yearn to achieve spiritual accomplishments, well, that means you have a good heart. So, um, in it works both ways. If you have a good heart, you want to go do spiritual accomplishments. Once you've achieved spiritual accomplishments, it works in reverse. It gives you a better heart and a better mind, okay? And you'll feel better about what you're accomplishing, and you'll know that you're accomplishing it for the Lord, okay? When you go to work and you're working, you're collecting a paycheck, you're not working for money. Understand that. You're working for the Lord, really. Your money is just a tool that's needed in this fallen world in order to play their fallen game of Monopoly, right? But money becomes people's God. They get spiritually motivated by money instead of enduring some pain, going through trials and hardships with your chin up, knowing that it's part of the test, okay? These are real images. You guys must trust me. These are real. I mean, you can kind of tell just by the way the clouds are wispy and stuff. It's just, this is the spiritual realm, okay? When your character, your spirit inside of you is a character already. Much like a cartoon character, it's already established your character, and then it comes down and hops into a meat suit. So each individual already has their unique characterness, and then as they make spiritual achievements, they progress. All right, so we're going to leave that right there. We got that one, we got these ones. Okay, it's important that you understand what's going on here. This is my face showing up in the clouds now. I showed you right here how, all these faces were following me in the clouds. Now they were all produced by Jesus's heart. Okay. And now Jesus's heart is producing my face. Well, you can make it out in the etherical. Here's a crown up here over my face. And I'm like, why is my face? Oh, I guess, some of the spiritual accomplishments or achievements, I don't go around telling people about them. I don't brag about them. I try to be quiet and humble about them and just go about your life, right? Well, some of them, I guess, I got rewarded for, and I thought, oh, that's what this is. This is a reward for, some of the spiritual things, achievements that I overcome. And come to find out, it's a little bit more than that. More than that, folks. Way more than that. So, yeah, this is my face still with the crown above it. Okay? On Easter, 2,000-year-old prophecy came true. I turned it sideways right there so it's a little easier to see, but maybe we will stick with right there is good. That way you get to see a little bit of all of them. All right. Going through pain, adversity, with a smile on your face, coming out the backside, having learned something, and that something becomes a tool. Then you put that tool in a toolbox. So when another situation comes up, you can bust that tool out and try to use it. If it doesn't work, well, you'll have to try another one. But it's all based on you connecting with Jesus. Okay, so you have to catch yourself when you're doing it. You have to stop it, right away. It's like, I liken it to getting on a train going the wrong direction. So you hopped on a train going east, but you wanted to go west. Well, you better get off at the first stop, because if you delay and you go even further, that's further you have to turn around and come back. So if you hop on a train going the wrong direction, the best thing to do is get off at the first stop and get on the train going back, right? So when you catch yourself slipping, quiet, try to catch it right away. Stop, breathe, say a quick prayer, listen for that small voice inside for the answer. If you have to say a few prayers, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. God, I will have to say that 10 times in a row until it really kind of sinks in. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. God, grant me the serenity. So until it takes effect. So it's a matter of kind of calming yourself down. And as you can see, the way the world's going here, a lot of this stuff is really starting to affect people. It's affecting them emotionally and spiritually. They're getting mean. They take their anger out on the wrong person, right? So we're trying to avoid doing that. That's what your spiritual work is too. So, boy, I got a lot for you guys tonight. Let's just get into it. Everybody go take your breath, get in your comfortable position. Okay. This is the time to unwind and relax and listen and focus on these principles and these disciplines and try to practice them. In fact, you guys are doing really well. I'm so thankful that you're giving it a chance and you're seeing success. Now, it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be perfect each time, but you are having some success. Your day could have been a lot worse if you had just continued and hadn't tried to recover it. You didn't stop, recognize what was going on. I understand a lot of people's political motivations and the RNC and the spirit of hope that's out there in the world right now. Okay, that's a good thing. But we have to be careful not to get caught up in the spirit of hate as well. Okay, because that's floating around out there as well. So you got to use your discernment. You can see the media trying to play one side and get you to hate, huh? They're using this opportunity to get you guys divided. So it's important that we're not divided. Before I start this reading, one more thing. The vision with the train, I forgot to finish. I had told this one before, and this is one that I'd suffered with a lot. And it's started off as a vision in the sauna in like a sweat box, like I'm talking about, and then proceeded on into the dream phase. And the scenario is I'm standing on a rolling hill, looking down into a small valley at a car sitting on the railroad tracks. And I can see from the hill that there's a train coming. There's a little tunnel in between us, but on the other side, I can see there's a train about to go through the tunnel. It'll come out the tunnel and then smash right into the car that's sitting on the intersection. But there's time to get down there. So I run down, I get to the car, and I'm pounding on the window. Hey, you guys, there's a train coming and you're sitting on the tracks. Well, in this vision, the people inside the car begin to mock me. They're like, "Oh, we're sitting on the tracks. Yeah, there's a train coming." Ha ha ha. And I'm like, "No, no, no. Really, there is a train coming. You're sitting on the tracks." And they're just like, "Oh yeah, haha, crazy train guy." So every time I keep going down there and warning them, "There's a train coming, there's a train coming." And each time they're just like, "Oh, it's the train guy again. Oh, yeah, train coming, ha." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I could see from up the hill up there that there is one coming." And I'm tortured by this vision, this nightmare. Finally, through therapy, I realize, wait a second, they're all on their cell phones. Every time I come up to the car, each time the dream in the same vision, I go up to the same guy in the car in the back seat and I pound on the window, and they're on their phones. They're looking down at their phones. And I'm disrupting their phone activity. "Oh, train coming. All right, yeah, yeah." And I'm like, "No, there is." Finally, I realize, oh, they're watching something on their phones. If I could only get this dream one more time or this vision one more time, I want to take it a step further and see what it is that they're watching on their phones. What is it that they can't lift their head up from to look out the window and see that they're in a life-threatening situation? Okay. Finally, through months of therapy, I get the vision and I get down there, and instead of pounding on the window and telling the guy there's a train coming, I just peek in the window. I don't even warn them. I just peek in the window this time because I've been waiting to see this whole time. What is it that's so important that's on their phones that they're watching? And when I finally get a glimpse through the window, I see all four people in the car are all watching videos of trains hitting cars. The very situation they are sitting in is what they are glued to. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And then it makes sense. This whole world is glued to the very thing that's going to be their demise. You better be careful what you watch. You better be careful what you take in. Like I said, garbage in, garbage out, right? You watching disturbing news all day, it's time for some good news. Something good for your heart, something good for your mind. All right. So, yeah, in the vision, finally I get down there. They're looking at train wreck videos. You know what I'm talking about. They're all over YouTube where a train hits a car on a crossing, right? Hits a semi, hits a train hitting something on the crossing videos is what they are watching. the very scenario that is about to do them in. Crazy, crazy world we live in. And we're still in that scenario. We are still in that scenario. All flights grounded. It's going down. That's okay. Let it go down. You have nothing to worry about. Now, let's get reading here. So each day is a gift. Each day is a blessing. So it's how do you tackle each day? Because each day is, it's on going on your record, right? And if you blew that day and blew this day and blew that day, well, there's a whole week you blew. So you got to keep working on your days. Each day counts. So when you begin a day or a task and you're feeling inadequate, remember this: my grace is sufficient for you. Now, the present tense of the verb is highlights the continual availability of this wondrous grace. Okay? So don't waste energy regretting how weak you feel. Instead, embrace your insufficiency. Rejoice that it helps you realize how much you need me. Okay? So when you're in adversity, rejoice, realize it, and rejoice that it's helping you, and I delight in helping you. Your insufficiency is the problem, or you have the insufficiency. You need to rejoice that it helps you realize how much you need me. Okay, so when you recognize your insufficiency, rejoice that it helps you realize. Okay, now that's a trick in itself right there. It sounds simple, but it's hard to do. So when say you've got a physical ailment, okay, and that's your insufficiency. Well, rejoice that it helps you realize how much you need me. A lot of people didn't embrace their cancer. They looked at it as a death sentence. The cancer was their chance to realize how much they need me. That's what it was. That insufficiency, the cancer, whatever physical ailment, pain, spiritual ailments like loss of a family member. Excuse me. You need to embrace those instead of regretting or wow. Help me, Lord. You want me to stop talking? Is that what's going on? Okay. Now, sorry. I'm choked up there. Now, your insufficiencies, your ailments, your pain, your agony, your everything, when you learn to embrace it, then it's not so bad. Like when you know that your pain that you're going through is going to be honored in heaven. You'll receive a medal like a warrior in battle. You got the silver star for your shattered back. You dealt with it your whole life. You, instead of regretting it, you embraced your pain. You took it on like a soldier and walked through it. It was rejoicing that helped you realize how much you need me. So your insufficiencies, your inadequacies, embrace them and rejoice that they help you realize. Okay? It's really hard to do, but you got to rejoice that they help you realize your insufficiency. Okay? Then you just pray, and my power is then made perfect in your weakness. That's how it works. My power is made perfect in your weakness. When you see your weakness, you embrace it, you rejoice that it helps you realize you need me, then my power has made it has made perfect in weakness. Okay, so now as you go about a task or go to work each day, as you go about a task in joyful dependence on me, okay, now you're not going to work, now you're depending on me to get you through the day at work. Instead of dreading your day at work, now you're going to go there in joyful dependence on me, where you will be surprised by how much you can accomplish. All of a sudden, your work isn't work anymore, it becomes more pleasurable. And a man that does what he loves for a living never works a day in his life. See what I'm saying? So it's your perspective. Really, it is. You need to change your perspective. So when you're going to work, you're not just going there for a paycheck, you're going there for spiritual warfare as well. It should be a joyful task being dependent on me, and you will be surprised by how much you accomplish. Then the quality of your work will greatly be enhanced by your collaboration with me. Think about this. Ponder the astonishing privilege of living and working alongside me now. So when you're at work, I'm right there too. I'm I'm a fast worker. I'm a badass. I can really make you work efficiently and smooth and with pleasure, right? And then your boss is going to be like, "What's going on with you? Like, why are you so happy you're at work?" "Oh, nothing. I've just found a new way of looking at things, you know." So the quality of your work will be enhanced, and so will your accomplishments. So the quality and how much you accomplish will be enhanced by your collaboration with me. Um, yeah, think about the astonishing privilege of living and working alongside me, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Seek to align yourself with my will, making yourself the living sacrifice. Ah, we're all going to die anyways, right? At the end of life, no matter how long you've lived, if you go calmly, peacefully here, there, you all end up dying in the end anyways, right? So your life needs to turn into a living sacrifice. When you're a living sacrifice, all of a sudden everything in your life means something. You feel honored to do this. You feel I get to instead of I have to. And when you're like that, when you're a living sacrifice and you get to and you don't have to, you embrace your pain, you rejoice that it helps you realize how much you need me. That's a form of worship, right? And this form of worship pleases me. Okay? I want to see you succeed. So when you practice this and you become the living sacrifice, that pleases me. It also makes your life meaningful now and joyful, actually joyful. When, okay. So many times have I seen people with terminal illness not realize the joy that they missed in their life because they didn't make it the sacrifice. It's not until the end that they see, oh, I should have been doing this the whole time. And their whole life wasn't really joyful, it was regretful. I want your life to not be regretful. I want yours to be joyful. And then, so seek to align yourself with my will, which is the scriptures. I mean, please read the Bible. So many people do not have a clue of what's going on because they didn't read the Bible. Signs are all over the place. If you'd have done your homework, you'd be getting an A on the test right now, right? When you seek to align yourself with my will and you are salvaging your days, you're pouring into other people's life, you're working alongside me now at work. You no longer dread work, you embrace it because you know that I'm there working with you. You're rejoicing because you realize now that I'm working with you. That form of worship, that living sacrifice pleases me, and it makes your life meaningful and joyful. Meaningful. Everybody's looking around. What's the meaning of life? What's the meaning of life? How come my life is meaningless? Yours isn't. Yours is full of meaning, isn't it? You know me and you know who you are. And that makes your life meaningful and joyful. And what you're looking at is the tiny foretaste of the immense, indescribably glorious joy that awaits you in heaven. I'm going to read that again. When you're looking at those pictures right there are a tiny foretaste of the immense, indescribably glorious joy that awaits you. Not a bunch of other people running around thinking they got it figured out. No, no, this is for you, even in replay. What you're looking at is that tiny foretaste. That's a spiritual realm right there. That's given you the foretaste that Jesus is real, the spiritual realm is real, heaven is real, hell is real. Boy, I can't go into that quite yet. I would lose my mind. The sense of urgency to avoid hell. If I could scream into the microphone how important it is to avoid it, but I'd lose my channel. So let's get back on course. We're not worried about that. Everybody else who doesn't have that tiny foretaste that you're looking at right now, you do. You're the ones that have this tiny foretaste of the immense, indescribably glorious joy that awaits who? Yes, you in heaven. Oh, we got more? Oh, yeah, we got all night now. Okay. A lot of people are still carrying their burdens. That's what this is all about, is releasing those burdens. Okay, you gotta let go of them. You gotta let go of them, and you gotta cast your cares on me, and I will sustain you. Carrying your own burdens is wearing you out. I repeat, you guys carrying your own burdens is wearing you out. Your shoulders were not designed for carrying heavy loads. So I want you to learn to cast your burdens on me. The first step is to recognize that something is weighing you down. What's the first step? Recognizing that something is weighing you down. What would that be? I don't know. Road rage, somebody making you mad, something hurt you. You'll realize something is weighing you down. Oh, when you recognize that something is weighing you down, that is the first step. I want you to learn to cast your burdens on me. The first step is recognizing that something is weighing you down. The next step is examine the difficulty to determine whether it is yours or someone else's. So the first step is recognizing that something is pissing you off, all right? Let's say it that way. Something's pissing you off. Next, examine the difficulty. Examine the situation to determine, is it yours? Is the difficulty yours or is it someone else's? Is the person pissing you off? Is it the difficulty theirs or is it yours? Because if it isn't yours, simply let go of it and leave it behind. Okay? Because most of the time it isn't yours. Now, examine the difficulty or the situation or the person to determine whether it is your problem that's weighing you, or that it's whether it's you that's weighing you down or the other person that's weighing you down. If it isn't yours, simply let go of it. Everybody got to hold on to it. You guys make stuff up in your mind too. You make all these lies and weird scenarios and stories out of stuff that wasn't even true. You're carrying your own burdens, is wearing you out. You're when you determine whether it's yours or someone else's, you're constantly picking up someone else's. You're supposed to leave it behind. If it isn't yours, leave it behind. Now, if it is your problem, if you recognize that the thing that's weighing you down is your problem, then you need to talk with me about it. I will help you see from my perspective, and I will show you the way forward. Okay? So when things are pissing you off, a situation has got you flustered, determine whether is it you, or is it somebody else? Because most of the time, it's you. But if it is your problem, talk with me about it. Okay. Now, talking and that's your first couple of steps. Now you need to prepare to take action. Okay. So you got to take action next. So be prepared to take action as needed, but don't let your problems weighing you down become your focus. Okay. So we realize something's weighing us down. Is it ours or something else's? Then we need to take action and don't let the problem of problems weighing you down become your focus, okay? Because that can become an idol too. It can become a focus too. So don't let problems weigh you down becoming your focus. Okay? You'll be too focused on problems weighing you down, you'll miss out on the joy. So we can recognize our problems weigh us down. We address the problem. Is it ours or not? We can let it go if it's not. If it's ours, you come to me. Then we don't let the problem weighing us down become the focus, okay? Because that can be the next problem. You're like, oh, you get so focused on problems weighing you down that they become your focus. So got to make sure that doesn't happen. That can be a very slippery side road. So you have to make a concerted effort to cast your cares on me, okay? Because I have very strong shoulders. They simply do the next thing in joyful dependence on me. So be encouraged by my promise to sustain you, to hold you up and to provide what you need, and I will supply all your needs according to my riches and glory. I will supply your needs, not everything you want. Oh, I want this and I want that. No. You need to let go of that stuff. Quit putting that stuff on your shoulders. That's what you need. You need to cast your cares on me. You don't need a Lamborghini. You need to cast your cares on me. Now, you guys are aware of my presence, right? You are aware of my presence, but you can increase your awareness of my presence. Did you know that? So, to increase your awareness of my presence, you need to learn the art of self forgetfulness. I repeat, you need to learn the art of self forgetfulness. Got to instead of making yourself number one, you're the last in line. Everybody else goes in front of you on the list. I know it sucks, but you gotta do that. If you want to increase your awareness of my presence, you need to learn the art of self forgetfulness because you weren't designed to stay focused on yourself. Okay, that's this whole society is just me, myself, my selfies, and all about me and how many likes I got, and me. What was it? One of my favorite creators said the world's got a case of the memes. Yeah, you could say that again. The memes. Oh, but there's this art. It's a lost art. It's the art of self forgetfulness. Okay. You got to put yourself, not last, but you got to put others first. Okay. So selfishness is actually a natural function of mankind, and it kind of started back in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve's disobedience in the Garden of Eden made selfishness the natural bent of mankind, the natural inclination of mankind. Disobedience made selfishness natural to mankind. I repeat, disobedience made selfishness natural to mankind. So selfishness comes naturally to you guys. That's all you think about. Me. How many posts I got and blah, blah, blah. Right? That's the problem in this world. So we got to overcome that, right? So we have to practice the art of self-forgetfulness. You got to get rid of that ego. You got to kill the ego. Ego. E-G-O. Edging God out is what you're doing. You're saying, I got this. I can do this. I'm my own master of my own universe, right? You're edging God out. You're being disobedient, which makes selfishness natural to mankind. This inclination of selfishness is a deadly trap. But I have equipped you to live supernaturally now. Now you no longer have to do that. You are living supernaturally now. This inclination to be disobedient and selfish has disappeared because I have equipped you to live supernaturally. Now, since the moment you asked me to be your savior, you have had my spirit living in you. Haven't you? And think about this. I'm going to read it again. It doesn't sound, but think about it. Wait. Since you asked me to be your savior, think about it. You asked me, didn't you? Since the moment you asked me to be your savior, you have had my spirit living in you. You have. It's in you right now. It's in you right now. And ask this holy helper, the Holy Spirit, to free you from self-centeredness. Pray it out loud several times. Help me, Holy Spirit, help me be free from self-centeredness. Help me, Jesus, be free from self-centeredness. Help me, Jesus, practice the art of self-forgetfulness. Help me, Jesus, help me, Holy Spirit, be free from self-centeredness. Okay? One thing that traps you in self-absorption is being overly concerned about how you look. Okay? Everybody's got makeup, the clothes, the car, the house. You're all consumed. You're all just consumed. It's all you're just constant consummation, just consuming about how you look in the mirror or in the eyes of others. Okay, not just your look, but how you look in the eyes of others. So instead of making yourself the object of your thoughts, oh, did you know you were doing that? You are making yourself an object of your thoughts. Yeah, it was you doing it. You made yourself the object of your thoughts. So instead of making yourself the object of your thoughts, gaze at me and be attentive to the people around you. I repeat, be attentive to the people around you. Instead of making yourself the object, instead of being self-centered, gaze at me. Be attentive to the people around you. Ask my spirit to help you look beyond yourself with eyes that really see. With eyes that really see, okay? You see the spiritual realm. You understand much more at a deeper level than everybody else does. You have eyes that really see. So ask my spirit to help you look beyond yourself with those eyes that really see. You are safe in my everlasting arms, and you are complete in my loving presence. You are complete in my loving presence right here and now. So, instead of turning your attention to all the things going on in the world, turn your attention to trusting and loving me. And you'll live supernaturally. You won't have the inclination to be self-centered and selfish. You will practice the art of self-forgetfulness. Okay, these are all disciplines that when you practice them, you will find peace, you will find freedom, you will find joy, you will find me. That was our thing for tonight, and he wants to go deeper. And what? This? Oh, God, back to jail. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote this back in jail. So, you're looking right there. That's the gate. That's the gate right there. And I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. I am not a locked barrier, but an open door for you, for all of my chosen followers. I came into this world so that you might have life and have it to the full. Do you hear me? I came into this world so that you might have life to the full. A full life means different things for different people. So in your quest to live abundantly, don't compare your circumstances with those of others. You guys are deadly at that. You're just constantly comparing yourself with others. Oh, they got a bigger house with a better car, better clothes, prettier this, less. Oh, God, compare, compare, compare. It consumes your brain, and you got to stop that. So, in your quest to live abundantly, stop comparing your circumstances with those of others. You got to stop doing that. It just leads to misery if you continue to compare your circumstances with others. You'll never be happy. So, you don't need as much money or as many luxuries as your neighbor in order to live well. There are billionaires out there that are miserable on their yacht and they don't have this. You aren't a billionaire. You don't have a yacht, but you have this, don't you? You see what I'm saying? Do you see how important? You don't need money and luxuries. You got me. You get to live well. They don't. They live in stress and nightmare with all kinds of headaches for money. Money does not bring happiness, it brings headaches sometimes. So, you have this thing called godliness now. You don't need luxuries. You don't need as much money. You have enough to get by. You're still eating. You still have a roof and electricity and the basic necessities to survive. And there's still some nice things that come along, right? You're not the richest in the world, but you can still enjoy what you have. And when you do that, and you're thankful for what you have, that's a godliness. And godliness with contentment, okay? You're content with what you got. You got godliness and contentment. So, godliness with contentment is great gain. It's great gain, not a loss. It doesn't go away, it doesn't fade. It is a great gain. You have godliness with contentment. Most people don't even have contentment, let alone godliness, and you have them both? You have godliness with contentment? Well, shit, you got great gain. Because I want you to be satisfied with my provision for you. Okay? It's being satisfied with my provision. You wanted 40 pounds and I gave you 38. That should cover it. The other 2 pounds were going to go to waste. See what I'm saying? Okay. So, I want you to be satisfied with my provision for you. If you have food and clothing and the basic necessities of life, seek to be content with that. If I give you more, respond with joy and thankfulness. There's the thankfulness right there. And what happens when you're thankful? Well, shoot, joy comes with that too. So now you're really appreciating the things that come to you in your life because you respond with joy and thankfulness. So there's a deadly trap to all this, though. So it's very, very, be careful. If I give you more, I want you to respond with joy and thankfulness, but don't cling to what you have or covet things that you don't have. There we go. Covet things you don't have. Like, oh, look at that nice car. Look at that nice house. Look at that nice, all those. Oh, if I could just have that, right? Don't do that. Try not to covet things you don't have because that will bring discontentment, right? So, when you recognize I gave you more, when you respond with joy and thankfulness, you appreciate it. So don't cling to what you have, though. When you cling to what you have, you're making an idol out of it. So don't cling to what you have or covet the things that you don't. The only thing you can cling to that you can covet, the only thing that you can cling to without harming your soul is me. So quit clinging to people's things and coveting what they have. Cling to something that really matters, something that won't harm your soul. Cling to me. Because no matter what you possess in this world, little or much plus me equals everything. Okay? So if you have a lot and you have God, well, then you have everything. If you have a little and you have God, you have everything. You really do have everything right now. You do. It's a matter of perspective. You have me, and me plus any much or little equals everything. You can cling on to me. That's the one thing you can cling on to. Trust and confidence in that. When you respond with joy and thankfulness, I just give you more. But you got to be content with what you get, because contentment with godliness is great gain, and you want great gain, don't you? So whoever enters through the gate, which is me, will be saved. I'm not that locked barrier. I am an open door. So you can have a full life. Don't compare your circumstances with others. You don't need money and luxuries to live well. And when you realize you don't need money and luxuries to live well, that's called godliness. So you realize you don't need luxury and monies to live well. That's godliness. And then you're content with what you have. That's godliness with contentment, which is great gain. And you guys only stand to gain more and grow and grow and gain and grow and gain and grow and gain. There's no mistakes. Everything is an opportunity to learn. Adversity is to be embraced as a trial to overcome. You're spiritually earning, well, you're working with me side by side, and each accomplishment, you feel better, don't you? You feel more secure, you feel more at peace. Everything around that's going on around the world making a lot more sense. You're seeing through the lies and everything. You guys are practicing your stuff, doing well. What was the one thing? Oh, there was a person who was thinking about me today during the course of the day, and the timestamp. They're like, "Oh, I was thinking about you," and it was 1:50, and it was 12:50 where I was at. So I think it was 1:50 wherever you were at. But yeah, somebody was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about you, and if you can hear me, what time of day was it?" or something to that effect. So to you who wanted the timestamp, I heard you at 12:50 yesterday. This was yesterday because I forgot to say it on last night's show. So yeah, interesting. But that still does not prove enough to you. Just because you're a stupid little timestamp thingy, okay? You need to put that stupid stuff aside and listen and pay attention, okay? Quit trying to practice this testing your communication skills with me. Just communicate. Take this seriously. It's not to be messed around with. It's not like, oh, what color shorts am I wearing right now? You know, that's tempting God, right? Do not do that. Okay. The best thing to do is just pay attention and practice the art of self forgetfulness. Okay. Take that into others' lives. We are in the salvage business. We salvage each day. Each day is a precious gift, right? It's how you tackle each day. So we got to practice skills to rescue a day if it goes south. If it goes south, not every day goes south. Okay, some days you have a good day, some days you don't. And on the days you don't, you're going to have to practice your salvage skills. And then once you do, you'll take that forward into the rest of your day. You'll smile at somebody. It'll pay it forward and salvage their day. You are to take my light and reflect it into others. Okay, into others' lives. All right. I love you guys. I really do. I miss you all. And until my next show, I will be back. I am already back. You guys should know by now. This whole planet should gonna figure it out. And then I hear in the news, oh, we're leaderless. We're looking for a leader or somebody with the ideas that's needed to help us. Well, someday maybe they'll recognize, but until then, I got you, and I love you. Boy, are you guys so blessed. I love you all. Gotta go. I got other stuff to do. I'm still in battle right now, so I gotta go. I love you all. Bye. I will be back.